here. I remember the night that Donald Trump won the presidency in November of 2016. And at the time and for days, maybe weeks afterward, I felt about that night as the happiest night in my life. So how on earth did I have such a shallow life that Donald Trump winning the presidency would, for me, be the happiest day of my life? And so here's my thesis. The emptier your life, the more vulnerable you are to needing a hero. The more extreme you need a hero, the more extreme your desire and intensity for a hero, the more you are vulnerable to gurus, to cults, to making dramatic life changes like converting to a new religion. So I remember when I was visiting Oxford University in the city of Oxford in England in 2005, and this young, stocky man came up to me and whispered something to me about if I was a supporter of a particular football team. And I said, no, sorry, I'm a tourist, and he just moved on. But if I had been a supporter of this particular football team, he would have beaten me up. So I don't think we can look at soccer hooligans in Britain as examples of a life that works. And people who have a strong need for rescue, be it religious salvation, secular salvation, right? Generally speaking, people have a strong need for a hero, someone who has a fanatical devotion to sports so that their well-being, their psychological well-being, ebbs and flows depending upon the fortune of their favorite sports teams, right? That's obviously not a life that works. It's a compensation for pain and for a life that doesn't work. I remember when I was a little kid, I wanted to become a Christian missionary. I wanted to sacrifice myself on a cross to save the world from sin. I wanted to go to deepest, darkest Africa and India and save people for Jesus. Now, do you think I came to that extreme devotion, all right, from a place of happiness? No, I was a miserable, miserable kid. People thought I looked and sounded and moved and talked like a Holocaust survivor, right? And so out of that misery, I desperately wanted some kind of heroic role for myself. I desperately wanted heroes, so I adopted people like Winston Churchill and Abraham Lincoln and George Washington. I saw these people as heroes. And so I noticed just moving through the world, the more extreme someone's devotion to sports, the more extreme someone's devotion to politics. And I'm not saying in the kind of 10,000 foot level devotion that we have to politics on this show, but I'm talking about a strong emotional attachment to whose side is winning, to which politician is on top, right? The more unbalanced the life, right? The greater your need for a hero, the greater your need for rescue, the greater your need to rescue other people, all right? The bigger the hole in your soul. It just seems so obvious to me now. Like, how on earth was I so ridiculous that I fell for an internet radio guru like Dennis Prager, and when I was badly ill in my 20s with chronic fatigue syndrome, I was spending my every last dollar on sending Dennis Prager tapes to everyone I knew, where I spent $1,000 on a gypsy in 1998 to try to restore my imaginary relationship with Dennis Prager. Like, why did I spend thousands of dollars on a homeopathist, a practitioner of homeopathy, right? I wanted rescue from my miserable condition. Why do I use Pittsburgh as my safe word, right? I use Pittsburgh as my safe word because it is so painful to me that the Dallas Cowboys lost 2 hard-fought Super Bowls to the Pittsburgh Steelers in the 1970s, and that's still my safe word today. I mean, what the hell? How on earth is that still, my safe word today? 40 years later, like I'm still traumatized by the Pittsburgh Steelers defeating the Dallas Cowboys, right, in some football games. And so, I mean, other people, right, they seek, whoa, cut that out. Other people seek, erotic adventures to, try to bring some meaning and purpose in their life. And that's not a winning formula either. I mean, like needing...
What? Oh, for God's sake, Mark, we've both got one, haven't we?
Look, Jazz, can you please just keep it quiet? Because some of us have jobs to go to.
Mark, your job is...
Have you watched this excellent English show, Peep Show, came out in 2003, right? So Jess, one of the two main characters on it, like he is, storming the erotic heights, all right? He wants to be a hero in the bedroom. And I remember in some of my relationships, I had nothing really going on in my life. I was failing in every area, so that it was particularly important to me to be a hero in the bedroom and to have a passionate, fulfilling, romantic and erotic relationship. And I just, put all my eggs on the erotic quality of my relationship, which did not help that relationship last very long. And so I would pursue intensity in eroticism rather than intimacy, right? Just trying to fill that hole in my soul, like young Jess in Season 2, Episode 1 of Peep
Going
Show.
to the office. My job is having sex. Yeah? That's what I do now. That's what I am. I'm a sexer, okay?
Sorry, Mark, did we wake you? We're both coming so hard we didn't notice the volume.
An explanation. Finally. Thank you, Nancy. Thanks for the explanation.
So your orgasms may come at the price of,
dance class.
other people, right, having a good night's sleep. So
there's nothing erotic.
You have to,
Hello, this is.
you have to take into
Try
consideration
tapping her phone.
the effect of your orgasms on,
Hope
other
they're
people's
not
welfare.
doing it in the hall. There's nothing erotic about a hall, is there?
Hello, I'm coming in now. This is me coming into my house.
So when I was in the throes of this addiction, I was doing things with, inappropriate people in inappropriate places at inappropriate times, just like young Jess here.
All right, Jez. Is Nancy around?
No, just gone. I'm seeing down the rhythms.
Right, okay. Jez, why's the chair and what's all this strawberry and
9.5 weeks,
yogurt?
guys. You can't
Jez,
take
what's happened to
9.5
my
weeks
mullah?
too seriously.
Oh, no, you haven't, have you? You haven't been sexing it up in here with my yogurt?
Have you
Relax,
been sexy
Mark. It's all right. We were just feeling very horny.
I don't want to know, okay? I don't want to hear about it. And I don't want it using up all my yogurt and...
Right, guys, it's not okay to use other people's yogurt in your sexual adventures. They're not going to be very happy. So all these things that we try to do to plug the old hole in the soul, and for some it's devotion to Donald Trump. I mean, I would just notice the fiercer someone's devotion to Donald Trump, or the fiercer someone's devotion to Barack Obama, that feeling that they had this, parasocial relationship, this imaginary relationship, all right? Obviously, the more off-kilter someone was.
Bloody shower gel?
Mark, I'm just in a very erotic relationship right now. I mean, we're systematically breaking down all the taboos that society has.
Right, and love, romance? I mean, is there any romance in any of this at all?
Who needs romance when you're doing it up the bum?
Exactly. Exactly my point. I mean, if you've actually done that, which, by the way, I can see no point whatsoever in myself.
You'd love to try.
I mean, this idea that you don't need romance when you're doing it up the bum, I mean, that's so empty.
Try it.
I honestly would not. What is this modern obsession with that? Look, Jez, what I'm trying to say is, so, for better or for worse, the 60s happened, and now sex is fine. But can't we take the best of that? The nice music, the colours, the I have a dream, etc., but not have to face the squalor.
Right, so what happens when you're empty inside? You'll seize on the one thing that, helps you feel a little bit better, and then you'll pursue it to an absurd degree like me, buying thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars worth of, Dennis Prager tapes, dropping thousands of dollars on a homeopathist.
You might want to give that a bit of a rinse, actually, mate. Do I really have to do this?
What are you afraid of, Jeremy?
He's dressing up in blackface. This
All
is
done.
so racist,
I don't know.
man.
It just feels almost wrong.
We're breaking a taboo. Of course it feels wrong. We've got
Blackface?
boundaries to smash, Jeremy. It's our duty to God, Shiva, Nasdaq, whatever you want to call him.
But are you sure this isn't racist?
Jeremy,
Racist?
I come from America. I've seen the problems race brings up. Now fuck me and pretend I'm your mom.
What? Why?
Why?
You can't imagine your mom having sex with a black man? That's pretty racist, Jeremy.
Well, it's not that. It's just... Mum? Really?
Really?
Mommy?
Mummy?
I'm sorry, Nancy, I can't do it.
Oh man, what a wimp. What a wimp. Sad. He just, I mean, are you so racist that you can't imagine your mother having sex with a black man? Is that how racist you are? So, are you holding out for a hero? Like, some people just adore people like Elon Musk, right? He fits, you know, that giant hole in their soul for a hero.
The integrator, right? I mean, that's how he would frame his role, right?
Yeah.
That he's the guy. He does the systems level thinking, that like one level above the kind of. So you sort of relegate the kind of scientists and engineers to the kind of, you know, they're getting their hands dirty, you know, with the kind of myopic focus on little details. But where it's really at, where the real, you know, Sigma thinking is happening is at the level of integration, you know, seeing the bigger picture and all that. And it's very sense makerish, right? Like this is the kind of person that the sense makers would valorize, right?
Oh yeah, he's the Randian hero.
Yeah, it's like the generalist is a kind of someone that doesn't deal with anything specifically, but kind of puts all the jigsaw puzzles together and can see the bigger picture and make the leaps that the other people that have got their noses too close to the grindstone can't see. It's turning that into the sort of instrumental category. So it's really interesting, actually. I didn't get a chance to talk about this, but one thing that the Musk episode and everything made me think about is how about many of these gurus is kind of like a reaction to the modern age. Like the modern age is one of specialization because you have to specialize, right? There's just too much knowledge. Like the age of the kind of gentleman scientists, you know, doing experiments in chemistry and figuring something else out with optics and engineering a different kind of steam engine. Like those days are gone. The other thing that's gone is the idea that like a person kind of like does things all by themselves in a way, like makes a great leap, just goes away and lives in a little hut and then you know has this great revelations all by themselves. Like before that could happen to one degree or another, but more and more advances are kind of happening via huge teams of like thousands of people all kind of working together, because that's just the way science and technology is now. So the valorization of gurus more generally, but also Musk in particular, is kind of like a reaction against that. Like we don't like the idea of like specialists, and we don't like the idea of these like anonymous teams of thousands of people. We want to make it personal, and we want to have a role for that kind of personal heroic figure. So yeah, I think Musk, you know, the legend that is sitting around Musk. It's not just Musk driving it; it's people's desires. I think we sort of want some, but we want there to be people like that, even if they can't really exist in the world anymore. Sorry, it's a bit of a
So at best, the hero is going to be situational, right? Someone who's going to slaughter your enemies is probably not very likely to be faithful to his wife. So someone who's, you know, faithful to his wife, a good neighbor, right, and, you know, a kind, considerate person at your local church, he's, you know, unlikely to make, you know, tremendous technological or military breakthroughs. So for those yearning for the hero, right, the hero can just arise in particular situations when his particular strengths meet the particular needs of the situation. But that's about it, right? If a man comes along, meets the needs of a situation, all right, we will impute to him charisma because he seemingly pulled off the impossible. Then he gets more resources, more followers. He's better able to pull off, you know, something heroic again, but eventually he's going to fall on his face. A little bit more here from Decoding the Gurus, talking about Bill Maher and Richard Dawkins.
He likes his ivory towers, and so do we. Okay.
Yeah. And
Richard
even
Dawkins
on
likes
vaccines and
his
stuff, right? Even though, you know, he might
tower.
like Billy Daddle with Matt Ridley and whatnot, he's still fundamentally like, but vaccines are great, and, you know, science is finding things out and stuff. So yeah.
Science is still the establishment, thank goodness. Grievance mongering.
I'm gonna put Bill Maher high on this. Like, didn't you feel in that thing he was luxury, like these people, presenting my experts, they call me anti-vax. Have you heard about the way I'm portrayed? And
yeah, no, I know what you mean. There was a strong undercurrent of grievance there. Again, this is something you see with anti-vaxxers.
I'm not being respected.
Not being, that's right. People haven't gone, but that's kind of how all anti-vaxxers feel, especially public ones, because they get upset because people call them
the anti-vax baseline, idiots.
Yeah, I'm gonna give them 3.
Wrong 4, but that's okay.
No, come on. You need to leave some headroom, Chris, for the people.
There's headroom. There's a 5, Matt. There's a 5.
You need more headroom. There's a lot that differentiates this from the Brett Weinsteins or the Eric Weinsteins of the world.
Brett's a 5.
We need a bigger scale. We need to make them 10.
We need a bigger scale for this one. I actually wanted 10 originally, but that's fine. That's fine.
Richard Dawkins actually has a fair bit of grievance towards religion.
Yeah, he does, and he does have a grievance towards his enemies, I think, as well. There's people he doesn't like.
We had that feud with Gould. There was a fair amount of grievance on both sides.
That's right. He does, but academics often do have grievances. Dawkins, I feel like Dawkins in some ways is benefiting from my view of Jordan Peterson, right? Who is just constantly reeling at fucking toilet paper recently, but also every interview with him is unfair. Everything is they're all out to get him, and he can list 100 enemies. Dawkins isn't like that.
No, he's not like that.
Even if some people he doesn't like.
But the honey, Chris.
I know he does have his. So that's what I mean. He's a proto version of, because he did that one honey tweet, which the internet was very happy with for a week. But unlike Jordan Peterson, he didn't continue to tweet 100 times a day about various topics and whatnot. So
no. I mean, you got to imagine the baseline for a grumpy old man.
Yes,
there's a baseline level of grievance with that demographic. So I don't know. No, I can't really.
I can't rate him high, even though I know he endorsed James Lindsay and stuff. But
it's not because he's got a personal tale of grievance.
No, you're right.
About how his ideas are being suppressed and all that stuff. I'm giving one. I'm giving 1. For me, people that score in the normal range, for a normal human being,
is a 1.
Is a 1, right? And for
but Dawkins is a normal human.
Abnormal. Well, he's not normal in many respects, but with respect to his level of grievance, I'm saying he's in the normal range.
He probably is, but yeah, for me too, is in it's a higher band of normal. Self-aggrandizement. Bill Maher. I think he is self-aggrandizing, but he does it in a little bit the liberal, self-deprecating way. I'm a stupid, what am I? I'm just a idiot guy anyway. I just like to get blitzed, and sometimes people straighten out my funny notions. He's a comedian, right? So they have to have that they have a self-deprecating air about them.
But we do that too.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So he doesn't self-aggrandize. That's why he doesn't score highly on this, even though he is quite an arrogant son of a bitch.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give him I want to put him a 3. I'm gonna give him a 3.
God, you're off the leash. No, I'm giving them both 1.
Yeah.
Okay, that's Chris Kavanagh, Matt Brown there, applying the garometer to Bill Maher and Richard Dawkins. So one of the best Twitter accounts is by Richard Hanania, and he's got some good tweets of late. In particular, here he says, watching these tech guys act as political and economic prognosticators is a pretty good argument for expertise and insight being very domain specific. So you have all these tech people endorsing Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And Richard Hanania says the RFK campaign is the best pure idiot detector I've seen in a while. I mean, even Tablet magazine ran a glowing profile interview with JFK. Anyone who either likes RFK or thinks he has a shot should never be listened to again. Other political so-called experts said Donald Trump had no shot in 2016. I think that was part of the reason that I so enjoyed that he won. That's part of the reason that was the happiest day in my life, right? In addition to the emptiness in my life, just that all the experts were wrong was just hilarious. So here's a tweet. No one knows politics. It's just like sports and stocks. Just a blast. Okay, Elliott Blatt, what's going down, bro?
Blessings, bro. Blessings. Small RFK story.
Yeah.
So 1995, I moved back to Boston, and in those days we had to get temp jobs. We didn't have Uber back then. You had to get a temp job if you needed money real fast, right?
Yeah.
So I got a temp job. I went to a temp agency, and they put me at the admissions office of the Harvard Business School. That was my temp job.
Wow.
Opening applications and preparing them for review. It was just it was monkey work, but so I have to. So you'd get this, and you get their GMAT scores, and then you get their academic transcripts, and you'd have to put them all in a certain way, and you staple this to that, and paperclip this to that, and then you'd have this one uniform package to present to the reviewers of the applications. So this sort of kind of like a head rush for me back then because I felt like I was sort of on the cusp of power. Like it was a big deal back then to go to Harvard Business School. It was sort of an express train to the higher reaches of corporate America. So people took it very, very seriously. And so anyway, while I was there, 2 noteworthy applications came through my possession. One was the son of Robert Kraft. So do you know who Robert Kraft is?
Yes, the owner of the New England Patriots.
Yes. So his son was applying to Harvard Business School. And so this got noticed and called out, and it was a big deal. This had to be sort of escorted into a separate room. This had to be handled with the utmost reverence because he was deemed, a VIP, and his application needed to be considered very seriously. The other was the son, one of RFK's Jr.'s sons. I had to, prepare his application, get his application ready. And as part of doing that, I got to see his transcript, his transcript from Harvard College, and I looked at it and it was like straight C's. It was abysmal. So I thought that was amusing. So anyway, that's my RFK story, bro.
Okay, that's pretty good.
It wasn't RFK Jr. himself. It was one of his sons. So I don't know if he was admitted or not, but he was definitely considered royalty, to the extent that America has royalty.
So you holding out for a hero, Elliott, on a scale of 1 to 10. How intense is your need for heroism or for heroes?
5. It's completely neutral. I'll take one if it comes. I'm not expecting one.
And you don't try to plug the hole in your soul with sports either. And what role does politics play in your life? And with regard to your happiness?
Lately, almost none. Almost none. I'm basically sitting out the entire election drama until October, and then I'll start re-engaging because a lot of things can happen between now and then, and I don't want to invest a lot of emotional energy in what could be a dead end, And it's arguable whether or not the election itself is a dead end, So I'm really standoffish this year. I learned my lesson.
And what do you think about YouTube reversing its ban on discussion of voter fraud? So you're now allowed to talk about voter fraud on YouTube.
I'm thrilled, bro. I think more discussion the better. I'm free speech, bro, all the way. I think everything should be discussed. I'm one of those, Luke. One of those.
Even the JQ, bro.
Even the JQ, bro. I think I'm right there. I'm like, if it exists, it needs to be talked about. So let's talk about it.
And have you caught anything interesting from Chuck Johnson or Richard Spencer?
No, but that's not to say I haven't tried. No, Chuck Johnson did publish a new piece. I haven't read it yet. But I was listening to Richard Spencer the other night, and it was that guy, Mark Brahman, and they're discussing Raiders of the Lost Ark, and it's like, I don't know. I miss the old Richard Spencer. I was,
you missed the blood sports. You want blood.
I missed the blood sports. I meant the fun. I meant like, have you ever read Locke?
Yeah. Have you even read John Locke, bro?
Yeah. Those were the days, man. Like now we're in sort of like this, I don't know, the penumbra, the waning days of Rome. We need something else, man. We need something else to raise its ugly head. We need a new figure to capture our attention.
I mean, I think what you're touching on is it's really important to have, excitement in your life. You really need passion in your life. You really need some thrills in your life. I mean, without those things,
you need a little spice, bro.
You need spice, bro. Yeah.
So
you need conflict and drama. A moderate amount.
I need some new ear candy. I'm like, I don't know what to listen to these days. I'm not part of any of these alternate platforms. I'm purely YouTube. So I don't know. Everything that comes up on my feed doesn't grab me. It's sort of I have been listening to James Lindsay. Now, have you listened to any James Lindsay?
Yeah.
And I find his lectures really interesting. Yet, I've come to find out that he's more or less reviled on our side of the aisle. And I don't understand why. Do you?
No, I mean, I just find him, I don't know, a slightly higher brow version of Scott Adams.
Yeah, but don't you think, I mean, he seems to base all of his ideas. I mean, he has lots of sources, and he has what seems to be a very coherent narrative. I think he's several standard deviations above Scott Adams, who was, very populist and very poorly sourced. Whereas I find James Lindsay very well sourced.
He's a bit like Academic Agent.
Yeah, so you're not a fan of him either.
What happened to your enjoyment of Academic Agent?
I still listen. I don't have the same zest that I used to, but I'm sort of, far less politicized than I was, a year or two ago. So, when I'm listening to these things, these are background. This is background entertainment. It's not like I'm looking at the chats or studying things or listening that carefully. I'm just listening sort of passively. So as far as passive entertainment, I think, it's interesting. It beats NPR.
And you're not a big fan of Decoding the Gurus?
No, they come from a place, their sort of basic frame, their orientation is just not mine. It's an orientation that I think I've rejected. So I just, it's not like what they say is too outlandish, but it feels like watching The Daily Show. It's that sort of, they seem to have basically the same worldview of the writers of The Daily Show to me, and they're very, I've been listening to a lot of Red Bar lately. I've been listening to a lot of old Red Bar stuff. He is a very impressive character. The more I've come to, he is incredibly quick. So I've been enjoying some of that. But Decoding Gurus, I'm not subscribed. I only hear it when I hear you. I listen to it through you. So you listen to it on a regular basis?
I really enjoy the academic analysis. I really find it rigorous. Stern. Intellectually demanding.
So I got some news on the radio front. So you know how I've been listening to The Bone?
Yes.
Yeah, so The Bone is sort of like a hard rock station, but it digs deep back into like the 70s, 80s, 90s. So it's a very eclectic mix of sort of 70s rock, 80s rock, and then some sort of like 90s metalish kind of stuff. And basically, it was the only thing on there. But now, as of today, a new competitor to The Bone has emerged on the radio dial. And I'm forgetting their name. But now I've been listening to them. And it's a totally different playlist. Now, I should tell you that when I was in high school, we had a class trip. We went to the local radio station. And you got to see how the radio sausage was made. I'm sure you know about this because you've worked at radio stations.
Yeah.
But there are these 1/4-inch tapes, reels that come in every week. Was this part of your experience?
Yes.
And there's 2 of them, like A and B. And the DJ's job was to push like A and then B, or AAB, or ABBBA, just to sort of vary the lineup very slightly. But the fare on the radio dial was more or less preset by what was ever on these two reels. And it was very mechanical. It was just a very deductive algorithm that was presented. So, and you got nevertheless, they sort of, they would present this facade of them sitting there with records and playing records one at a time and flipping back and forth between the two of them. But really, it was much more mechanical than that. They would just push one button or the other. And it was very disheartening for me to see that.
Yeah, I mean, though, when I was growing up in the 80s, it still was the most spontaneous medium that was out there. You could talk about things more quickly, more spontaneously on the radio than certainly on TV, let alone print. So before the internet, the radio was the closest thing we had to, live, spontaneous discussion.
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking about like a rock station here,
yeah.
But yeah, I do remember. I mean, back then you did get to sense that the presenters were individuals and they had a certain latitude that they could take, and they had a very distinctive personality. But today, more than ever, it just seems like a formula that's being executed. This demo gets these selections. We've market tested them, and here you go.
Have you ever gotten into like a parasocial relationship where you listen to someone regularly, have no personal interaction with the person, no private interaction, but you felt like you were developing, a fair dinkum, or you had a fair dinkum relationship going on in your life?
Present company excluded?
Well, we've spoken privately, so. That hasn't played a big role. You haven't taken on gurus. You haven't. Parasocial relationships haven't played a big role in your life.
I don't think so. It's not to say I haven't been fans of people and enjoyed their work, and
but you haven't been jealous of somebody's wife because she gets to be more intimate with your hero than you'd like to be.
No, haven't taken it that far. No. Sorry, Luke. You got me, bro. I'm seriously trying to think about what you're saying. So it's like I'm trying to trace through my memory here.
Like imaginary conversations with I don't know, Howard Stern, or I don't know whoever you're listening to a lot. You're not carrying on imaginary conversations in your head.
No. I always had a distance, like in fact, this new radio station, it has a different playlist altogether, and it seems to be oriented towards millennials.
Mm-hmm.
So the Bone was more or less oriented towards Xers, and this new one is very 90s centric. And it's like all these songs, and I basically had given up the radio in the 90s, and because I was listening to NPR, but I wasn't listening to rock and roll on the radio. And all these songs that come up, and I'd heard one or two here or there, but they all seemed very new to me. So in a certain sense, it was really refreshing because it was not that standard Bone fare, which is, Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd and Heart, and all of these chestnuts that they just play over and over. It felt like a breath of oxygen. But I miss the radio, Luke. I remember the radio used to be a journey, It used to be, you could expect something new. If you didn't like what you're hearing, you could change something, you get something new. And it was worthy of giving a chance. But not now. Everything seems dumbed down and boring.
Yeah, I mean, the best stuff's online.
Yeah, I know, but I still have these romantic notions about terrestrial radio. I just don't want to give it up. I can't admit to myself that it's dead. Do you listen to the radio ever?
No. The only time I'd listen to the radio would be over the internet. I mean, Australia's going to be playing India in the World Test Cricket Championship, and so I'm going to be playing that, the Australian Broadcasting Company radio coverage of the matches. I'm going to play that over my phone.
So that's in June?
That's starting in 2 days.
Oh, just in time for LGBT, Gay Pride Month. What a coincidence.
Haven't been a lot of out gay cricketers. Somehow professional sportsmen tend to be rarely gay.
Yeah, I know. I'm just teasing, bro. Well, anyway, I think that's all I got, my dude.
Blessings, bro.
All right, blessings. All right,
Blessings.
next time. All right, shalom.
Okay, take care. Okay, so a lot of good stuff here on Richard Hanania's Twitter feed. Let's go back, have a look here. Take a scroll. You can even subscribe to Richard, not just on Substack, but also on Twitter, I think $3 a month. So in 2016, China banned TV shows and films from showing gay characters.